named Jennifer. She's waiting to see if she should lose the weight before she starts the date. So we're going to get into it today a little bit, right? So Jennifer's a 44-year-old mom, and she has two teenage daughters, and she got up 60 pounds just through, life taking a hold of her for the last 5 to 10 years. So she recently started to get her health together, started balancing her hormones through exercise, a managed diet, better sleep habits, right? Walking a lot of steps and whatnot. And so she now has lost 32 pounds. Her goal is to lose 60, okay? So she's wondering if she should get back into the dating scene because she doesn't really know exactly how it goes now because she's been out of it for so long, and she doesn't think she's at her best yet. So she's contemplating staying single until she gets to a point where she feels like she's met her goal, right? Because she wants to meet the right person, of course. We can all understand that. So her question is, should I start dating right now? Should I get right back into the saddle, or should I wait until I lose the weight? All right? So before I get into the story, guys, and my answers, what do you guys think? If this was your sister, if this was your cousin, if this was your aunt, if this was your mother, right? And they were going through a health transformation, whatever that transformation might be, would you tell them to wait until they got to their goal to start dating? Would you tell them to wait until they became the best version of themselves so that they can find a compatible mate? Or would you tell them that they need to get into the saddle right now? All right, so put your comments in the comment box for me, and give a little bit of advice, man. That's what we do here on Lunchtime Logic. So if you didn't know, this is your guy, Coach Marc, Lunchtime Logic. All right, Transformation Station. So I get letters and emails from people all the time asking for advice. What should they do? Now, if it's health and fitness related, but it may have something to do with you being a parent, it might be something about you being an employee, a CEO, a business owner, whatever it might be, a sibling, a friend. If it has to do with health and fitness, if you've gone through a transformation, or if you're going through one right now and it is affecting you in one of those areas, please don't hesitate to email me, coachmark22@gmail.com. That is Coach Mark with a C at gmail.com. Message me. We'll figure out if I'll figure out if your problem is worthy of me putting it on Lunchtime Logic. All right, most of the time it is. Now, if you want to remain anonymous, obviously I can do that. But this young lady didn't need to remain anonymous, so we're going to talk to Jennifer today. All right. Now, Jennifer, let's get to some of the details. Okay. So you said you are 44 years old and you are a mother of two. Now, that matters, guys, because here on Lunchtime Logic, every detail of your story matters because that's what makes it unique. And certain things are game changers, right? So when you're 44 years old, the dating scene changes, okay? When you have teenage daughters, so her being a mother of a 15 and 17-year-old, that also changes the game because now you have young ladies in your house. So who you date is different, and who you want to bring around it takes on a different tone than someone who's single, because they might not have anyone else in their house, right? So you have to consider these people when you date. Being 44 years old also makes things different because depending on how long it's been since you were dating, the game has changed. Now people meet people online a lot, right? Long distance relationships are more prevalent these days because of our technological abilities. I messed that up. But because we're so technological, we have advanced technology, long distance relationships can thrive to where they couldn't before, right? So things are different again. Now at 44, your available pool of men has changed as well, because depending on how long ago it was that you were dating, you might have been in your 30s, you were looking for a different crop of individual, okay? Now I'm also assuming that you date males, so I'm just making that assumption, right? But it does change things no matter the gender, okay? So there's a lot of factors that you talked about, right? So one of the main factors you talked about in your letter was the fact that you got so busy with work and dealing with the girls and being a mom, taking care of your household, that it was kind of tough for you, that you kind of lost your way, let's just say, right? And so all your focus has been on them so long, and you have let yourself go. When we let ourselves go and we don't concentrate on ourselves, right, that has to do with self-care. It has to do with exercise, diet, sleep habits, right? Even enjoying ourselves, getting into fulfilling things. We almost forget how to do that. So we show up as a different person when we're dating, because we haven't been at our best. We haven't been concentrating on us. Some people will say, oh, I don't even know myself anymore. I don't even know what I like. I don't know what I like to do. I don't know what I like to wear anymore. I don't know myself that well anymore, right? That matters. Because now, when you go to date, it's hard for you to put your preferences down, and you don't necessarily know what you like about yourself. So dating scene has changed. Your age has changed. You've matured a lot, right? You've matured a lot. Raising children will help you mature. You have to become a lot more responsible, and the responsibilities don't lessen, right? People think, oh, my kid's 16 now, I don't have as much responsibility. That's not the case. Your level of responsibility changes, but it doesn't lessen, okay? They're more capable, but there's also bigger factors involved now. They're driving, right? They're getting ready to go to college. There's all these things that change. So let's get to the heart of it. You talked about losing weight, right? Eating better, walking a ton of steps, changing your movement patterns, which means you're exercising now. You're doing things you didn't used to do. You feel more like yourself, and you've lost 32 pounds. So first of all, congratulations, because that's hard to do. Do you know the average person has never lost more than 15 to 20 pounds at one time? The average person. So the fact that you were able to do that says a lot about you, right? So you've become a different person from when you were 60 pounds heavier. I think whenever you get to about 25 to 30 pounds of fat loss, I don't care how big you are, your identity starts to shift. And that's mainly just because you've had to change so many habits. When you're at when you deal with that amount of fat loss, that means you have to change what you eat, which changes how you sleep. Your hormones go through a shift. Your movement patterns shift. You're normally outside more, right? You're more confident when you walk into rooms. You're dressing in different clothing because you had to buy new clothes. So all these things happen, and it shifts your identity. So you said something about, well, first of all, you have changed and you've become a much better version of yourself, okay? So your biggest question was, should I wait until I lose the 60 to get back to dating? And how is that going to affect me with who I might meet, encounter, so on and so forth? We all have a goal here in this health and fitness world. We all have a goal. We all have this vision of this person that we want to become, okay? And I'm telling you, sweetie, from experience, from training hundreds of clients, sweetie, when the goal that you think you want to get to, it doesn't satisfy you like you think. The average person who looks for a coach for weight loss wants to lose somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds. And that's what they say. I just want to drop about 20, 30 pounds. But you unlock potential on the way to the 20, 30 pounds. You unlock a whole new set of goals, right? Because your goals have to keep changing throughout the process. So when you're at 26 pounds, You have to realign your goals a little bit to get to the 30. To stay at the 30, even if you just said, I'm going to stay there, you still have to repeat those actions, those habits, right? Eating habits, sleep habits, all the habits. You still have to do it. So because of that, you get to the 30 pounds and you realize, oh, wait, I can drop another 12. Oh, wait, now I get my body fat percentage checked and I'm at 22% body fat. You start believing in yourself differently. You start looking at yourself differently. You start feeling as though, you know what? I can get down that far. Now, these people that I used to watch, these people I used to follow, and I used to admire them and think I wanted to look like them, now I look better than them. Or now I'm more athletic than them. Now I can perform the workouts they perform. So I can get to a different level. So when you get down to this magic number of 60 pounds, sweetie, you're not going to be satisfied, right? Because even if you've gotten the fat off and you're the size you want, you're going to want to perform better. You're going to want to run for longer. You're going to want to be stronger in CrossFit, right? You're going to have new PRs in the gym. You're going to want to become more flexible, so you start taking a yoga class, right? You want to swim better laps. You don't get to 60 pounds of weight loss or fat loss without developing a leveling up mindset. That's not what happens. You have to continue to have that mindset to get there, and it has to increase, right? So by the time you get there, you don't go back into settling mode. Nah. So, because of that, you're not going to be satisfied when you get to 60. So waiting until you get to the 60 pounds, you're not going to be satisfied with. Also, as we age and as we change and our perspective changes and our mentality changes, our wants and needs change. A lot of us talk about getting back to the weight we were on our honeymoon. Okay? It was 15 years ago, sis. When you get to that goal weight, it's not going to feel exactly the same. It's not. It may feel much better. You ever think of that? You may feel much more alive than you even did back then because you're doing it the right way. Because a lot of people, and probably Jennifer included, you're probably wanting to get back to a weight that you were your quote unquote healthiest, right? But a lot of times you just were your smallest. Smallest and healthiest are two different things. Because if this was in your 20s, or if this was when you started having kids, sweetie, it's a good chance you weren't living that healthy. You just moved around a little bit more. And you had a higher metabolism. And you hadn't done a ton of damage by then. So what's going to happen is when you get to 60 pounds down, because you had to do it the right way, right? And undo all these bad habits, it's a good chance you're going to be way healthier than what you were when you 60 pounds ago. So you're going to feel much different. It's never going to be the same. And like I said, not saying it's going to be worse, but it's not going to be the same as it was. So again, two things. Your goal is going to change after you get 60. Okay? You're going to have different goals, performance goals, size goals, aesthetic goals, right? Even competitive goals. You might start entering into some high roxes. And it's not going to feel exactly the same. So, let's address the dating. Very important. There's going to be some people that say, you should start dating now. Why wait? Life's too short. Why wait? Why wait? You could find love now. You could find somebody who would love you for you right now. and be happy whether you make progress or not. Okay? Or if you wait another, or that's 18 pounds from now, or that's 28 pounds from now, that could be another 6 months. That's true. I think it's true. Also, could you be missing out? Could you be missing out on that person? Let's just say it's June 1st. Could that person be ready for you June 1st, but then come October 1st, November 1st, they're already in a relationship? And are we ever truly ready? Are we ever truly ready? Right? So all those questions will come up. Now, I think a couple things happen when we date when we're not where we want to be, right? And that could be financially, right? That could be education-wise. That could be, we're not healed from trauma, perhaps, okay? So we meet people while we're on the process, right? We're on the road to wherever we're going. We sometimes can get derailed because we date according to how we feel about ourselves. We date according to how we feel about ourselves. Just like when we go shop for a car, we normally look at the cars that we can afford. We look for the clothes that we can fit. So when we date, we look for the people who we think would be interested in us. Okay? So because of that, again, 28 pounds, that might be 2 sizes down. You might go down 2 sizes because the body recomp. So if you're let's say you're in a large, Jennifer, you might be in a small by the time you get down this next 28 pounds. What you can end up doing is selecting a mate based on how you feel about yourself right now this very second. But 6 months from now, could you lose interest in that person because now you feel differently about yourself because your identity has changed? Remember, we said between 20 and 30 pounds, sweetheart, your identity changes. And it doesn't have to be huge changes, but there are changes because, again, if nothing else, even if you're operating the exact same as you are right now, same macros, same calorie count, same step goal, same workout program, you've done it now for 6 more months. You stayed away from the alcohol 6 more months. You've practiced positive affirmations now for 6 more months. You're a different individual. So your selection techniques will be different. Not to mention, who selects you will be different. Who selects you will be different because you may have a man, let's just say right now you're 190 pounds. You may have a man that says, oh, I like my women a little heavier. I'm a taller guy, a bigger guy. I like my women a little heavier. If she's much less than 190, I don't want her. So now you got 2 choices, right? Do you continue on to lose the weight? Or do you slow it down to make him feel more comfortable? And as we gain feelings for people, what do? We want to make them more comfortable. That only makes sense. Why would we want to make them more uncomfortable? We want to make them feel comfortable. Also, what is that guy's habits going to be? Because again, we're talking, you're dating people that are based on how you feel about you. And then obviously the person has to be interested in you. So right now, this very second, is it a must for that person to eat healthy all the time? Is it a must for that person to be active daily? Is it a must for that person to journal? Is it a must for that person to recite positive affirmations in the mirror in the morning? Because we all know that if we get with the wrong person, right? And they might have great intentions, but let's just say they're used to eating late. And they like to go out to eat real late. You stop eating at 6 normally, but when they want to take you on dates, it's always 8 o'clock. So what do? And we know what we do, guys. A lot of times, we'll go with the person and we'll go eat. We'll go eat. So now we're getting in the way of our progress. So now we'll stall out at the 32 pounds. And in some cases, put some back on. So to address you getting back into the dating scene right now, Jennifer, I hate to tell you to wait on love, but I'm also a firm believer that when the universe has what it has for you, nothing can get in the way of it. So if that man's ready for you on June 1st, he's going to be ready for you on November 1st. You understand me? He's going to be ready for you 5 months from now, because if he's the right man, he's also going to be improving from now till then, right? So it's going to be a better improved version of that man. I think in the middle of your journey right now, this very second, it just has too much potential to cause interruption. You understand? An interruption is the last thing you need right now. Okay? Because think about this. If you were to look back and you met that perfect person in November, and that man said, man, I've been on this dating app since May. Now you might think, oh man, we could have been 5 months ago. It could have been lit. You're right. But now it's more lit. Huh? You ain't gonna cry over spilled milk, guaranteed. Because you're just gonna be happy that you met him when you did. You understand? And if you're like anybody else that's going through a transformation, 6 months ago, we all look back 6 months ago and we're like, yo, I was doing that? Or I was only doing that many pull-ups? I was only running for that long of a distance? I was still scrolling in my bed at night instead of putting it down a half hour. We've all made change. If you're transforming, that means you had to make some changes in the last 6 months. So you're a better version. So when you show up in November, now you're a much better version. If you would have met him in May, you know how that go. Oh man, I wasn't who I am today. Something happens when you're a person that transforms your health and fitness. You start to accelerate at a very fast rate. You start to accelerate at a very fast rate, and that leaks onto other parts of your life. Your career, your business, parenting, relationship, home ownership, whatever that might be. You start to excel. Okay? Now, let's address the part that a lot of people will be wondering. What happens if she waits until 60 pounds? Well, first of all, it may accelerate itself. And this is another thing that can happen. You might love your body at 50 pounds of weight loss. It might not take for you to get all the way to 60, because you might love how you look. You might love how strong you are. You might love the hormone balance that you experience. Your blood work might be amazing. You might just be in an amazing place. 50 pounds, it might not take to the 60. But you have to get there without interruption. Now, if we were talking something that was going to take you over a year, I might have a different viewpoint. When we're talking 20 or 30, sis, we talking 12 to 16 weeks. We're talking 12 to 16 weeks this can happen. Okay? So bang, you get down to the 60 pounds, right? 60 pounds of weight loss. That's your goal weight loss, right? Now, like I said before, you're probably going to establish some new goals. So you're not going to be done with the goals that you like. You're not done goal setting. You understand? Because to stay in a super healthy place, yo, you can't You can't get rid of goals. You have to have goals, and you have to reestablish them and have new ones from time to time. You're going to have a ton more self-confidence than you have now. If you think you're confident now, wait until you double the amount of weight loss. If you think you look good in your clothing now, wait till how good you look 30 pounds from now. Your profile picture on the dating app. The type of men who reach out to you will be different. Right? They're going to be different because it's not going to be, oh, she looks like she just recently lost some weight. 6 months from now, it's going to look like you're someone who never had to lose weight, who have always worked out, who's really serious about her health and fitness. See, us guys, we can tell. We can tell, ladies. I promise you that. So when we look at your profile, when you at your goal weight loss, now the guys that are coming forward are guys who also take their health and fitness serious. Are guys who also eat early in the evening. And they work out 3-4 times a week. So aside from you having more security within yourself, aside from you feeling better about how you look in your clothing, different men will approach you, and you will also find different men attractive, because what happens is our lens changes as we change. See, we don't change everything about us and then our eyes stay the same. What we found attractive 60 pounds ago, we don't always fit. We don't find attractive after we lose the 60. Mainly because our perception of ourselves changes. Our perception of ourselves changes. So because you feel like you deserve a better mate, you're going to now look at different men and try to contact them. There's also going to be different men trying to contact you. Their habits are going to be different because yours are much different. I'm a firm believer that when a female is looking for a male, it is biological for you guys to look for a male who operates at a little bit higher level than you do. But again, as you raise your level, right? You're not going to look down or backwards for a mate. You're going to look forward and upward. As far as your daughters are concerned, it's very important for them to be around the best male possible. Like, I don't know their situation with their father, but whether they have one or not, they need to be with someone who is the best version of a male possible. And they will also respect you differently based on the type of men that you're bringing around them. You can't just bring anybody around your daughters, right? Because if he's a nut, they're looking at you like, Mom, you a nut too. What you look like dating these, you know? So there's so many things, there's so many factors involved with who we're choosing and why it's so important to make the right choice, right? To choose correctly. So ultimately, my advice would be this. I would say sit out the next 3 to 4 months, right? Probably 4 months. See it as, keep going to see how far you can get. Now, if you've at least reached your 50 pound mark, that's 18 more pounds, right? And there's so many other ways to measure our progress, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to act like the scale is the ultimate metric, because it is not, okay? But normally, when we see those numbers on the scale, other things present themselves as well. But 18 pounds from now, Jennifer, you're at 50 pounds of weight loss. You're normally only a month away from that next 10, right? Yeah, I mean, you can stall a little bit. We've seen it happen. But normally, we can bet another month or so, I'll be there. And if you started dating there, you won't change too much between 50 and 60 pounds. You won't, right? It won't be a drastic change anyway. I would say by that time, get yourself ready to be dateable. Get yourself ready to be dateable. That means get your sleep habits together. That means be organized. That means have some clothes to put on when you go out on dates. That means have your skincare regimen together. That means have a regular hairstylist appointment and nail tech appointment. Okay? You got to start taking care of yourself so that you're ready to present yourself as your best. Right? Get ready to be dated. Have you dealt with some traumas that you might have had, right? Last relationship, people dying, whatever have you. Whatever might have been going on. Be ready to date. Are you the person that you would want to date? Is your mood fixed? Would you call yourself happy? Do you have time in your schedule for a man? Because men like a woman who's available. So throughout this time, as you're concentrating on getting yourself together with your health and fitness, let's also make sure we curate an environment and a person who's dateable. And then when you come to the table 4 months from that, that's a long time, Jennifer. Oh my goodness gracious. It'll be here before you know it, but we can make a ton of progress. So I shouldn't have said that's a long time. We can make a ton of progress in 4 months. We can make a ton of progress. So I would say start working on those things. Start watching some videos on YouTube about proper dating habits. How does a woman get ready to date in her 40s, right? What to look for in a man. What type of responses should you, what type of dating tactics? Because again, I don't know when the last time you dated. So are you punctual on dates? Do you know what you want to eat when you get to the restaurant? Do you know what your alcohol limit is before you get drunk? Right? All those things. How long are you going to date a man before you allow him to introduce himself to your daughters? Or him to sleep over? Right? Let's get all these things figured out. Because then you're presenting a beautiful product on whatever platform you choose to start dating on. You understand? So I would wait. Now, I want you guys to put your comments and your suggestions in the comment box for Jennifer, because I'm sure she's going to read this. Whatever the suggestions are, Jennifer, take them seriously. Just look at them, look at different angles, and you'll make your own decision. But I know for me, and anybody else I've ever coached that has relationship problems or got into great relationships, the relationship started out on a better foot because they were the best version of themselves for that time period. Like in the next 3 months, they weren't going to be a totally different person. But if you still have 20 to 30 to lose, you're going to change probably a little drastically. Just going to be honest with you. All right. Now, if you are someone like Jennifer and you have a letter for me and you would like me to read it and or just go over the scenario, but keep you anonymous or use your name, email me at coachmark22@gmail.com. That is coachmark with a C, 22@gmail.com. I will come on here, I will read your letter, I will read your scenario, and we'll give you some good advice, all right? Now, if you are somebody that has a scenario like this, but you feel like you need some coaching to further enhance your health and fitness journey, please hit the link in my bio, schedule a free consultation. That will be a free consultation, no charge to you. We'll talk about whether or not you are someone that needs a coach or doesn't need a coach, and if we're a good fit or if we're not a good fit. All right, so go ahead, click the link in the bio. This is Lunchtime Logic. I am your guy, Coach Mark. I will be here every Monday through Friday, guys, live right around lunchtime. So get your lunch ready. We're going to eat lunch every time. We're going to get some good health and fitness advice that we can merge into our outside lives, right? Because in health and fitness, a lot of times we can get so caught up in the calorie counting and the workout programming that we forget that we're real humans. So normally you guys will see me come on here and give people advice about not only fat loss and muscle building, but also repairing relationships with their friends, repairing relationships with our children. How do we deal with, changing and dating, right? So we'll go over a lot of things like that on Lunchtime Logic. So tell a friend to tell a friend, share this live, and appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.